Can we bring the mic over? We can move this away, because I'm going to use a low table for the computer.
You don't need a verse or something. You just speak.
No? But if you have an HDMI, I can put...
No.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll put the computer here. Hare Krishna. Are we on? No, it's okay. Mic needs to be on. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, you hear? Haribol, Hare Krishna. Paula, a little more. Hare Krishna. Whoa, no, that's too much. Hare Krishna. So it's a pleasure to be back in Ljubljana after quite a few years. Although born on the island of Jamaica, I grew up in the United States, and I've traveled all over the world, especially all over the ISKCON world, and I've noticed that wherever you go in ISKCON, there's always an audio problem. Guaranteed. And I always say, in English they have this saying, this is not rocket science, but it seems that audio control in ISKCON is rocket science, so you're not alone. It happens everywhere. So I was a bit surprised when Ananta Prabhu asked me to speak this evening, because I arrived after some trouble traveling. Traveling is always problematic, but today was up there. I had a flight from New York to Amsterdam, connecting to a flight from Amsterdam to Ljubljana. But the flight coming in from New York was late, so I literally had to run. I had to run just to get onto the flight. And then I get to Ljubljana and my bag didn't make it. So I'm wondering if I can run from the plane, one plane, and it was a long distance, and make it to the other plane. Why can't the bag? Because they put it on a truck. The truck should be able to beat me and get my bag to the other plane. Anyway, they say it'll come tomorrow. So it's been an eventful day. First of all, we'll start by offering obeisances as usual. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pachayane Nirvashesha Shunyavani Paschachadeshtarine Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnang Shapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyahang Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvatam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvatangscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Sha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And since today we are celebrating the appearance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we'll also say his pranam mantras. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. So that sets the stage for, if you don't mind, I like to hold the mic, because when I turn my head, then the mic goes with me. If you notice, sometimes speakers are speaking, and when they turn the head this way, you don't hear anything, and they turn the head. So I like to hold the mic. So wherever I turn my head, the mic goes. So that pranam mantra of Bhaktivinoda Thakur sets the tone and the stage for who he is. Namo Bhaktivinodaya. We're offering our respectful obeisances unto Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Satchidananda Namine. He's considered Sat Chid Ananda, meaning not of this world. In this world, everything is asat, achit, and nir ananda, just the opposite. In the spiritual world, everything is sat, chit, ananda, because that is the nature of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Source of everything. So everything there is of the same spiritual nature as that of Krishna. So Satchidananda Gaura Shakti, he is considered to be the potency of Lord Gauranga. Swarupaya is the form, very form of the Shakti of the Lord. Rupanuga Varayati, and he's strictly giving us the conclusions coming down from Rupanuga, meaning we're followers of Rupa Goswami, meaning all of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's stature. Whatever he has given us is authorized. It's not manufactured by him. Nowadays people like to manufacture things. Never from scratch, because what can you make from zero? Nothing. But they like to just say, just give me the idea and then I'll run with it. Why? So they can get name, fame, profit. Nobody likes to really, really glorify the source of their knowledge. They like to pretend that it's coming from them. But as I like to say, if you look at your own life, anything meaningful that you know, you learn from somebody. Even just as simple as tying your shoelaces. Somebody taught you that. You didn't figure it out. Your mother or sibling, somebody taught you how to tie your shoelaces. So anything in life that we know that's really meaningful, worth sharing, somebody taught us. But in material consciousness, we don't like to give credit. We want the credit. Profit, adoration, distinction. That's what motivates the materialistic mind. And like nowadays, everybody's talking about AI. And they want to use AI to make money. But where did it come from? Who started it? Nobody wants to give credit. Everybody wants to use every creation for their own profit, adoration, distinction. So as devotees, we have to be very careful of that. Devotee means we always give credit to the source. And, you know, as somebody who's been around ISKCON for quite a while, I try to get that young devotee speakers to pick up that mood, because sometimes they sit down and they speak for an hour like it's all coming from them, their realization, their vision. No, we're not here to hear your vision per se. We're here to see that you're passing on the knowledge just like a transparent via media. Everything you learn, you teach exactly as you learn. Prabhupada said, don't change anything. That's your disease. You like to change things. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, once one of my godbrothers wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada saying that, you know, we have heard that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his early days was an impersonalist. Is that true? So Prabhupada wrote back, he said, it may appear like that. He said it's just like Arjuna. Arjuna is an eternal associate of Krishna. Wherever Krishna goes, when he comes to this material world, his Leela is like a roadshow. It starts here and then immediately starts in another universe. It's always going on. So in another letter, one of my godbrothers wrote to Prabhupada and said, so you say that Arjuna is always with Krishna. So this is the same Arjuna in every universe? And Prabhupada said yes. So anyway, in this particular letter regarding Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada said, it's just like Arjuna. Arjuna is an eternal associate of Krishna. So there is no question of him being in Maya. There's no question of him not knowing that Krishna is the Supreme. But just so that Bhagavad Gita can be spoken, he agrees to be in illusion so Krishna can transmit Bhagavad Gita through him. So similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared to be a Mayavadi at some point, impersonalist, so that we can see how he transformed into the topmost personalist, and that inspires us. But he knew who he was, is, not just was, is, in it's Navadip Mahatmya. It's a small book, but very, very potent. It's worth reading if you haven't read it. It was one, I would say, bona fide translation that I've read anyway. And in that book, he reveals that he's a Manjari. He's a servant of the gopis in Vrindavan eternally. So he knew his position. Something else to take away from that revelation is that although in his original form he's a Manjari, female, still, when he was in this world, he was not gender confused. He was a potent male in his earthly pastimes. He was a potent male and wasn't confused. Even though internally he knew he was a female eternally in the spiritual world, still when he appears in this world. And we can understand that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu, that this knowledge that he was about to reveal to Arjuna is meant for the Rajarshis, meaning those who have administrative position and the virya, the strength to make others do what they should do. So although Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not a king, but still in his position as magistrate under the British Raj, he exhibited that strength of being a leader, of being an administrative head. He was so potent in his... because one of the things that a king is supposed to do is to judge when culprits. And Prabhupada said they would do it immediately. They bring the culprit to be brought before the king, and if he was judged to be punishable, then the king would administer the punishment immediately. If he was a thief, cut off the hands. If he was a murderer, kill him. Like that. So this is Vedic culture. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was like that. He exhibited that magisterial strength. He would, things that other magistrates would take days or even weeks to decide on, he would decide in 5 minutes. He was so strong. And we know in his family life, he produced a lot of children. So we're not necessarily supposed to produce as many children as Bhaktivinoda Thakur did, but one of the prime duties of a householder in ISKCON is to produce Krishna conscious children. We're not supposed to get married and don't produce any offspring. Prabhupada would quite often quote from Chanakya Pandit that Putra hina griha shunyam. Hina means without. Putra is offspring. Putra, that personality you give birth to who can deliver you from the hell. Put is a certain hell. Trayate means to deliver. So putra means that offspring that can deliver you if you fall down. You're not supposed to fall down, but just in case you fall down, your son, daughter, they're supposed to be Krishna conscious so they can deliver you. So putra hina means if you are a grihasta, and hina means without. You have no putra, no offspring. Griha shunyam. Your griha, your so-called household is shunya, it's zero. That's the conclusion of Chanakya Pandit, and Srila Prabhupada repeated it many times. So we should take that to heart. Of course, if someone is, quite often devotees are getting married in the older age, that's a different story. But the traditional Vedic culture is first student life, brahmacharya. First, usually the girls didn't go to the house of the guru, they would stay home. No gurukula for the girls, but they would be trained in the same way, in spiritual values. Nowadays, Prabhupada actually started this brahmacharini ashram, and he said he was criticized by many in India for that, but he didn't care, because he said they don't understand the goal of Krishna consciousness. They don't understand that the times are different. But he was very strict, not that you live together in a house and then anything, no, very strict. One time Prabhupada noticed that, some of his male servants, they would all of a sudden want to get married, and he's wondering what's going on. Then he realized they were cooking in the Didi kitchen with the ladies. So he said, you can cook along with the ladies, but conversation should be very short. Pass the salt. Pass the salt. In other words, don't take advantage of just because the men and women are allowed to live in the temple, you take advantage and it becomes a social club and chit-chat. No. One should still be very strict. I've said this many, many times, but good brahmacharis make good grihastas, make good vanaprasthas, make good sannyasis. But because Prabhupada was starting from scratch, it takes a while for things to get going properly. So a lot of and I can attest, from my own life that, if you don't start at the right age, Komar Archayat Pragyo, Dharmam Bhagavatamiha. From the tender age of 5, one should be sent to Gurukula to start being trained in Bhagavad Dharma. And at that age, a 5-year-old boy has no sex desire. So he can genuinely see every woman as mother. Prabhupada gave from his own life, his youngest son, he said he would take him once in a while to see a movie, and every woman that went by on the screen, there's another mother, there's another mother, another mother. Just natural. Yeah. So when you're trained like that from birth, practically, then when you get married, you can see one woman as wife and all other women as mother. It's not difficult. But because we were mistrained, I know I joined at the age of 21, completely spoiled. I don't want to go into details. Completely spoiled already at that age. So it becomes difficult. Internally, you understand what you're supposed to do, but because the external body has been so contaminated, it takes a while to get with the program. So good brahmacharis, and that's another thing that the grihasthas should do. Give birth to children, raise them in Krishna consciousness. Don't be too eager to throw them out into the material world. Prabhupada wanted us to have gurukulas, where the children are trained internally, not just reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also spiritual values, so that they can be immunized against the flow of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, as we know, it's not that the world is falling apart. The world has fallen apart. Any metric, anywhere you look, socially, politically, economically, the world has fallen apart. So the attempt to be Krishna conscious in a world that has fallen apart, it's not easy. And that's why these communities are so important. You stick together and you help each other to go forward in Krishna consciousness, because individually you cannot do it. Prabhupada gave the example of, in India, still to this day, many people, they still go out and collect wood for cooking and like that, heating. So he gave the example, one stick anybody can snap, but you put a bundle of such sticks together and you can't break it, and you can't break it. So we're meant to stay together, help each other to go forward in Krishna consciousness. And not be pretentious. One time in a temple, Prabhupada saw, morning time during the japa period, a bunch of brahmacharis walking out of the temple. So he asked, where are they going? And somebody said, well, they don't want to chant in the temple with the ladies. So Prabhupada said, oh, they won't see any women on the street? He said, if you can't chant in the temple with your mother, then you should go live in the forest. Go. You're not fit for temple life. Not ready. So we have to be serious about making progress towards the ultimate goal. The stage has been set, and Krishna, when Prabhupada said, when Krishna came to this planet, because he's God, he orders, Sarvadharma Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam, you surrender to me. But the conditioned souls are so unfortunate, they don't understand that surrender to God is the best thing. It's the safest place, it's the happiest place, best consciousness to be in. But because we're contaminated, we're thinking, Prabhupada said, conditioned souls are thinking, who is this person to tell me? So I don't want to. So Krishna comes back after some time as Lord Chaitanya to teach us how to surrender, to teach us how to be devotees. Then the next generation, 6 Goswamis, and then Srinivasacharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, like that, coming down. And then the next strong proponent was Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because the teachings of Vaishnavism had fallen into disrepair, you could say. It was, because the topmost goal for the Vaishnavas is the love of Radha and Krishna. We want to serve the divine couple. But those who are less intelligent, contaminated, they just see it as an excuse for, again, entering into the same contaminated relationships. So the Vaishnava culture had become contaminated, and it was revived by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then he prayed for a ray of Vishnu. We know his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, came, who then initiated our Srila Prabhupada. So everything that we're getting from Prabhupada is completely bona fide. We simply have to hear and implement. It doesn't require great intellect, but it does require purity, a pure heart. If one is simple and has a pure heart, one can very rapidly make advancement in Krishna consciousness. the example given. And in the Los Angeles temple, where I stayed for the last 32 years, but just this year now I shifted back to my hometown, New York. So, not my birthplace, but the place where I grew up and where I joined the movement in 73. So Prabhupada gives the example of that simple Brahmana, South Indian Brahmana. It was kind of a odd thing that he was a Brahmana, but he couldn't read, because Brahmana is supposed to be Pandit. But anyway, he was a Brahmana, but he couldn't read. But his Guru Maharaj ordered him that every day you sit down and read Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters. What to do? He couldn't read the Devanagari. Sometimes the book is this way, the book is that way. He's sitting there. So Lord Chaitanya visited, and he noticed all the other Brahmanas are making fun of this other Brahmana. Say, Brahman, what is going on here? And he said, Prabhupada said, the Brahmana could tell immediately that this person is not here to make fun of me. So he said, sir, I'm illiterate, I can't read, but my Guru Maharaj has ordered me to do this. And in the Los Angeles temple, we have a painting of that pastime on the ceiling. Just like in the Sistine Chapel, they have so many paintings. So in the Los Angeles temple, we have Chaitanya Lila on the ceiling. Anybody here been to LA temple? I am an active proponent of ISKCON tourism. Prabhupada made a house in which we can all live, and that house has innumerable rooms practically. There are more than 600 temples, and then there are farm communities. So as your means allow you and time allows you, you should go visit other temples and see what's going on. Because what I've experienced in my 50-something years in ISKCON is that if you just stay in one place, you become absorbed in all the problems and all the politics and it just sits on your head unnecessarily. But if you go to other yatras, other temples, you see that ISKCON is vibrant, it's growing, there's so much, what to speak of Mayapur, oh my gosh. I'm praying that I will stay alive until the very first really big Mongol Artik in the TOVP. I was there for the opening of the Nrsimha wing, and that was quite a festival, but that temple supposedly can hold 10,000 devotees for arti. So imagine, when you have this room, I've been here in this temple when it was full on certain festival days. What were you talking, 60, 80 maybe people here? Multiply that by 1,000. Well, 500. So this is what we have to look forward to in Mayapur. But so many temples all around the world. After this, I go back to New York, and in December I will go to Mauritius for the first time. They have some really nice festivals in Mauritius in December. They do specifically, they do a very big boat festival. So I have been invited, I'm going to go there. Anyway, going back to the story, so the Brahmana could understand this person is not here to make fun of me, so he explained, I'm supposed to read 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita every day, but I'm illiterate. And then Lord Chaitanya said, well, I see you're crying. If you cannot read, then what is it that's making you cry? And then the Brahmana, again, he could understand. He's not making fun of me. He said, when I touch Bhagavad Gita, I get the picture in my consciousness, in my mind of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming the chariot driver of his devotee Arjuna. It's called Partha Sarati, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Partha is Arjuna, Sarati means chariot driver. And we have a deity of Radha Parthasarati in, who knows where that temple is? Delhi. That's just one of 18 temples in the greater Delhi area. So this year, I went to the 50th anniversary of Krishna Balaram Temple in Vrindavan, and after that, I went to 2 temples in Delhi that I'd never visited before. There's a Dwarka Delhi temple, and there's Rohini. Fabulous, huge temple, especially the Rohini temple. Dwarka Delhi temple is kind of small, but it's big by most standards, ISKCON standards, but they're building a new temple next door. But the Rohini temple, and most of them are inspired by His Holiness Gaura Krishna I'm having a senior moment. What's his name? Gopal Krishna Maharaj, yes. Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He was another staunch Vaishnava, follower of Srila Prabhupada. He was a Grihastha when I first met him in 73. And but then he went on to take sannyas, and simply a Prabhupada man at heart. No deviation. Whatever Prabhupada wanted, that's what he wanted to do. So we should, again, catch up the example of all these wonderful devotees. Just be simple. Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple, difficult if you're crooked. If you're a straightforward, simple person, then sky's the limit. Anyway, so I didn't have a lot of time to prepare because it was a last-minute request, and but I will just read a few little things, and then we will finish up with one song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Actually, a couple of days ago, I was in a class given by one of my godbrothers, and he said, after chanting Jaya Radha Madhava, that this is a song by Jayadev Goswami. So I didn't say anything at the time, but afterwards I said, you're wrong. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Because for many, many years I've been promoting this as the greatest love song ever written. And it was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That's not the song we'll do later on. But that Jaya Radha Madhava that we sing every day, that's written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's given us so much, sometimes we don't even remember. The Prasada Sevaya, the prayer that we chant every day, Sharira Vidyajal, that's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's given us so much. Okay. So there's a full biography, well, pretty complete, although there's no end to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's glories, but called The Seventh Goswami. How many of you have read that? By Hari Vilas Prabhu. So that gives a pretty nice, presentation about the life and teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But there's a smaller biography you can find online, so we'll just pick out a few items from that one. Sri Satchinandana Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in 1838 in a wealthy family in the Nadia district, West Bengal. He revealed that he is an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his extraordinary preaching activities and prolific writing. So as we said, in his Navadvita Mahatmya, he does state what his Siddha Deha is, his original position. Living as a Mahabhagavata Vaishnava, he stayed in the Grihastha ashram until the last few years of his life. Then he renounced everything, accepted Babaji initiation, and entered Samadhi, totally absorbed in the loving service of Gaur Gadadhar and Radha Madhava. How many of you have been to his compound, which is on the other side of Jalangi from Mayapur? Have you been to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's compound? It's still there. He lived in other places, but that was the final big family compound. And that's the one from which he could see that there was going to be a big temple, Ekadbhuta Mandir, going to arise in on the other side of Jalangi in the Mayapur, where our temple it's in the process of being built. He had a responsible government position as the district magistrate, high court judge, maintained a Krishna conscious family, and wrote almost 100 books on Krishna consciousness. All of this while maintaining, sometimes devotees ask me, Grihastas, Prabhu had stated that we shouldn't over-endeavor, but how do we know when we're over-endeavoring? So my stock answer is, if you have no time to chant nice japa and to read the books, go out on Harinam at least once a week, associate with devotees, come to the festivals, then you're over-endeavoring. Very simple. Litmus test. If you can't chant nice japa every day, and nice japa doesn't mean it has to be 16 rounds in a row. That's the ideal standard. If you can chant round 1 to round 16 with no interruption and no deviation, That is ideal. But Prabhupada even said, if you are a grihasta, you can still chant 16 rounds. How? You get up in the morning, you eat 3 times a day. So before you have breakfast, chant 4 rounds at least. Before lunch, another 4 rounds. Now you're up to 8 rounds. Half your rounds are done. And most people have dinner also. So before dinner, you chant another 4 rounds at least. So now you're up to 12 rounds. And before you take rest after dinner, you can chant another 4 rounds. So there's no excuse. Not that, oh, I'm a grihasta, I have so much responsibility. Who had more responsibility than Bhaktivinoda Thakur? And still, 10 children and job as a magistrate, and not just easy job. Yeah, he made it look easy because he was so prolific, but he had a lot of headaches. He had to take on a lot of impersonators, Vishnu impersonators, and all kinds of problems came up because he was also in charge of the Puri temple at that time. So in spite of all that, he wrote 100 books. This is on top of his personal sadhana. He wrote 100 books. And we know it's not an easy feat. At the same time, he served the Supreme Lord in so many ways. That is the beauty of his life. After a full day of government service, he would sleep 4 hours, get up at midnight, and write until morning. That was his daily program. So we're not saying that you have to artificially get to the 4-hour platform. It's recommended. When I joined, first thing they tell you is, Prabhu, we don't recommend you sleep more than 6 hours. I laughed because I'm a lifelong insomniac. And as a college student at the time, 4 hours was max. Because, after a full day of school, you'd hang out with the friends and party all night. First class is at 7 in the morning, so if you go to bed at 3 o'clock. So, everybody's body is different, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, sleep 4 hours, get up and then write until morning. Thakur Bhaktivinoda took Vaishnava Diksha from Sri Vipin Vihari Goswami in the line of Sri Janava Mata. That's one of the wives of Lord Nityananda. Afterwards, he received spiritual inspiration and direction from Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. So 2 things are there. Sometimes we get Diksha and Shiksha from the same personality. In ISKCON, it's understood that those who have come after Prabhupada left, you will be initiated by one of Prabhupada's disciples if you want to stay in Prabhupada's line. But all of us are supposed to take Shiksha from Srila Prabhupada. All of us. All of Prabhupada's disciples and all of Prabhupada's grand disciples and grand disciples going on for the next 10,000 years. We're all taking our Shiksha from Srila Prabhupada. In other words, if Prabhupada is not given something, you don't go and find some other understanding. Don't try to change what Prabhupada is given. This is the Srila Prabhupada line of the Chaitanya tree, branch of the Chaitanya tree. So yeah, you may say, because Prabhupada said, well, this and this mod, they do it. That's all right. They can do whatever they want. We want to make sure we're doing what Prabhupada wants. Just like I mentioned earlier about men and women living in the same temple. Some of them are still very proud. In our temple, we don't allow any women. That's all right. You can do what you want. But Prabhupada set up his International Society for Krishna Consciousness in such a way that he could allow women, ladies, to also live in the temple and serve the Lord. And not just serve the Lord in the temple, but going out and preaching. Prabhupada expected that. One time he said, I expect both the girls and boys to give class, but if there's a program and there's a qualified man and a qualified woman, then the qualified man should give the class. But he expected the ladies to learn the philosophy and be able to teach, just like Yamuna, when Prabhupada is here, there were so many male disciples, but quite often he would have her lead the kirtan, he would have her speak. He wanted to set the example that we are supposed to be above the bodily platform. On the bodily platform, there will always be problems. How many of you have met Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj when he was alive? He used to come to Croatia especially, but I think he came to Slovenia also. Huh? He never came. Yeah, in Croatia he came. I know, because there used to be a Pula camp every year, and I used to go and he used to go there. But anyway, when he was still a brahmachari, his name was Ganesham Das. He was black body like me, so he went to Prabhupada and he said, Srila Prabhupada, some of your disciples are racist. He was expecting the Prabhupada to say, oh, who are those people? But that's not what wasn't Prabhupada's reaction. Prabhupada said, if you continue to consider yourself to be black, how are you going to make any advancement? Turn it around. So similarly with the women, he also said, one time, Jadharani went and complained that the boys are always teasing her and bothering her, and she was expecting again that Prabhupada would chastise them, and Prabhupada said, if you continue to consider yourself to be a woman, how are you going to make any advancement? In other words, you're supposed to rise above the bodily designation. Man, woman, black, white, fat, thin, old, young. Because on the spiritual platform, we're none of these things. So this is what self-realization means. It means realizing the self to be different from the current gross and subtle material situation. All right, so we'll just skip ahead to some of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's recommendations for us. He said, you should always absorb your mind in attentively chanting Krishna's glories. By performing Krishna Kirtan, you'll gain mastery over the mind. Give up all false pride. Always think yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower, and more humble than straw in the street. Practice forgiveness like the tree. Giving up all violence toward other living beings, you should maintain them. Throughout your life, you should never give anxiety to others, but do good to them, make them happy, and forget about your own happiness. Thus, when you become a pious, good soul, by possessing all good qualities, you should give up desires for fame and honor. And just make your heart humble, knowing that Lord Sri Krishna lives within all beings. You should respect and honor everyone at all times. You will attain virtue by being humble, merciful, respecting others, and renouncing desires for fame and honor. In such a state, you should sing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Weeping, Bhaktivinoda Thakur submits his prayer at the lotus feet of the Lord. O Lord, when will you give me such qualities as these? So, as we know, again, he wrote many, many songs, and in addition to the 100 books that he wrote, Jai Radhamadhava is one that we mentioned, but we're going to end. What time is it? Okay, we'll leave some time for discussion if there's any. We'll just look at his daily routine, and then we'll bring up the song of his. Maybe you can put it on the screen. So from 10 p.m. No, this is not right. Yeah, okay. From 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. he would write. From 4 to 4:30 he would rest. From 4:30 to 7 he would chant japa. From 7 to 7:30 he would do his correspondence. In other words, his texting. Nowadays we're always texting everything. Which is, my recommendation is, this is, we recite the 10 offenses every morning, or we should. And we recite an 11th one, that to be inattentive is also an offense. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur said in his Harinam Chintamani that is the mother of all other offenses. If you chant inattentive japa, then all the other offenses will hang around. So my own recommendation is this. Yes, it's hard to get away from this so-called smartphone. It's actually just a piece of dead matter. But it makes us dumb. It's not really a smartphone. It makes us dumb. I put it in silent mode, and I keep it, because I chant usually in the temple room with the other devotees. I keep it on a shelf, and then if I see that something is happening, then maybe I will check, or maybe not. But what you should never do, which I see some devotees do, they sit down, And they're supposedly chanting japa, but they're scrolling, and Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, don't do that. That's an offense. It's obvious, but somehow or other we fall into these bad habits. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur would set aside half an hour for his correspondence. Huh? I can send you the PDF. It contains everything. So from 7 to 7:30 correspondence. So you can do that also. Set aside, which is what I do. After the full morning program, meaning japa period, and then greeting the deity, and then Guru Puja, and then class, then breakfast, and then I turn on my computer, desktop, and then or laptop if I'm traveling like this, and then I check emails and stuff like that. Because I'm at the BBT still, so I get emails from printers, I get emails from other devotees, and yes, you have to take care of things that you have to take care of, but don't let it distract you from your sadhana. The sadhana makes us strong. Don't let it distract you from your seva. Definitely don't take a phone on the altar with you. You know, some devotees do that. They have the phone right behind the deity altar, and don't do that. Seva and the japa that we do is also seva, chanting the Lord's name, hearing. So one of my departed God brothers, Suradas, he used to say, seva will save ya. In other words, seva is what will save you from this material contamination. So I have to take it seriously. So 7 to 7:30 correspondence, 7:30 to 9:30 study, which is another thing we have to do, study the Shastras. I was mentioning this morning that in the 70s, mid-70s, the scores were rising. Remember I told you that story. Devotees were going to the airport, 50 big books, 60, 70, 80. When they got to be 100, Rameshwar Prabhu, who was in charge at the time, he was so excited. If you know Rameshwar, he's a very excitable, but he's also very intelligent. So he told Prabhupada one morning, Prabhupada, at the airport, some of your devotees, some of your disciples are distributing 100 big books in a day. And he thought Prabhupada would go, wow, but Prabhupada didn't. He just kept walking, and then he stopped and said, but are they reading my books? Are they reading my books? He said, I didn't write these books just to be sold. I wrote them for you. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is an eternally liberated soul. He spent, where is it? 7:30 to 9:30, 2 hours studying Shastra, just to set the right example. Obviously, he didn't need it to be liberated. He didn't really need it. He's already on the liberated platform. 9:30 to 10, bath, prasadam. 10 to 1, court duties. 1 to 2, refresh at home. 2 to 5, again, court duties. 5 to 7, translate Sanskrit Shastras to Bengali. 7 to 8, bath, evening prasadam. And then 8 to 10, rest for 2 hours. So it's not even like he was taking 4 hours contiguous. He was taking 2 hours in the evening and 2 hours in the daytime. 4 hours total. So again, we can't imitate that, but the mood should be there. That there's so much to be done. There's so much nectar to be drunk from Prabhupada's books, and there's book distribution, there's temple worship, there's keeping the temple clean. So much seva is there that we should be eager to reduce our sleep. Not artificially, but we should be eager to eat less and sleep less so we have more time for practical devotional service. So, I think we can stop there and just look at this one song. You probably know it, and for those who don't, or if you don't have songbooks available, maybe you can put it on the screen. It's Kabhi Habe, that song. Kabhi Habe Bolo. It's from Sharanagati. So you want to put it on the screen, or do you have songbooks? Or you can, if you have a HDMI cable, you can just plug me into the screen and you can see it on the screen.
Have HDMI?
Yeah, I have HDMI, yeah. Right here, this side. First one. All right, so you have to pick the right source, and we should be there. Yep, there we go. I'll make it bigger. Is that big enough? Everybody can see? Okay. So I'm not a good singer, but I'll try my best to chant the verse and then we'll read the translations. Kabi habi bolo sedina amar aparada guchi shuddena me ruchi kripa bale habe hridaya sanchar. Translation. Please tell me, when will that day be mine? When my offenses will end and the power of divine grace will infuse my heart with a taste for the pure holy name. And again, keep in mind who's saying this. A pure devotee of the Lord came straight from the spiritual world, but he's showing us how we should, the feelings, that the emotions that we should develop as we progress in Krishna consciousness. Oops. Text number 2. Srinadi kahina kabe nijamani sahishnuta guna hriroyete ani sakkale manada apane amani hoya swadiba nama rasasar. And then you repeat the refrain. Kabi abi bolo shedina amar. Thinking myself lower than a blade of grass, bringing forbearance into my heart, respecting all and freed of false pride, when will I taste the essence of the liquid nectar of the holy name? Text number 3. Dhanna jane ara kabita sundari boli bona chai deho sukka kari janme janme dawaye gora hari ahiti ki bhakti charane tamar kabi abi bola sedina amar. So, neither wealth nor followers nor beautiful women described in worldly poetry, none of these bodily pleasures do I covet. Covet means to want. O Lord Gora Hari, please give me causeless devotion to your lotus feet, birth after birth. Does all of this sound similar? Obviously, he's an empowered agent of Lord Chaitanya, so it kind of sounds like Shikshastika, right? Okay. Text number 4. Kabe koriti Shri Krishna nama ucharan pula kite deho gadgada bachan payabharnya bepote hoibe sangatana Nirantara netre bhabi ashudhar kabi abi bolo shedinarmar. When, as I chant the divine name of Sri Krishna, will my body thrill with ecstasy and my words choke up? When will pallor, means you lose color, and trembling occur? And when will my eyes pour forth endless streams of tears? Again, Shikshastika. So he's giving us Lord Chaitanya's advice or emotions in his own writing. Kabe navadvipe shuradani tate gora nityananda boli nishkapate nachya gaya berbe chutte batulera prayacharya bichar kavi abhi bolo shedina hamar. When will I run about on the Ganges bank in Navadvip, guilelessly, means with no ill intention, calling out Gora Nityananda, dancing and singing like a madman, giving up all mundane considerations? Text number 6. Kabe Nityananda more koridoy, Chariba more vishayar maya, Tiya more nija charne chaya, Namera hateta dibe adikar, Kabi abi bolo shedina par. When will Lord Nityananda show me mercy and release me from the illusion of materialism? When will he give me the shade of his lotus feet and let me enter the marketplace of the holy name? And we know that song about the marketplace of the holy name, right? Nadia Gojome Nityananda Mahajan. That's another song. All right, there are 2 more verses. Kini boluti bahari namaras, namarase mati hoiba bibas, Rasya Rasika Charane Parasa Kariya Bhajiva Rasa Anibar Kabiya Bibolo Shedina Mar. I shall buy or steal the mellows of the holy name of Hari. And after becoming intoxicated with those mellows, I shall become stunned. By touching the lotus feet of the great souls who relish those mellows, I shall constantly drown in the sweet nectar of the name. And the last verse, Kabi Jiva Daya Hoibe Udai, Nidja Shukka Bhuli Shurina Hridai, Bhakti Vinoda Koriya Binoya, Shri Agya Tatala Koribe Prachar, Kabi Abi Bolo Shedina Amar. When will compassion for all fallen souls awaken within this Bhakti Vinod? And when will he thus forget his own happiness and with a meek heart set out to propagate by humble entreaty, means asking, begging, the sacred order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The lotus feet of Srimati Radharani obtains the lotus feet of Madhava, which are priceless jewels. Without taking shelter of Radha's lotus feet, we just had Radhasami, one can never meet Krishna. Without taking shelter of Radha's lotus feet, one can never meet Krishna. Unfortunately, in material consciousness, we want to usurp Radharani's position. Quite often, neophyte devotees, they think, okay, all right, I get it. I have an eternal form in the spiritual world, so I must be a gopi, because the gopis are the best, so I must be a gopi. And if I'm a gopi, then the best gopi is Radharani, so I must be... No, you can't be Radharani. That position is taken eternally. We have to take shelter of Radharani, not try to be Radharani. Without taking shelter of Radha's lotus feet, one can never meet Krishna. The Vedic scriptures declare that Krishna is the property of the maid servants of Sri Radha. Give up wife, sons, friends, wealth, followers, speculative knowledge, all materialistic actions. Just become absorbed in the sweetness of serving the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. This is Bhaktivinoda's solemn declaration. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So if there's any discussion, questions, I think we have a few minutes. Again, I'm very happy and thrilled actually to be back in front of Sri Panchatattva, Gaur Nitai. Sometimes when I'm at home, I tune in to your classes here, so generally it's Prahladananda Swami, but that's okay. He's one of the reasons why I come here. We used to come in the spring, if you remember. Ananta knows. We used to come in the springtime. We would come first to Ljubljana, and then we would go to Zagreb, do some programs in Croatia. Then he would usually go to Serbia. I would go to Bosnia. Okay. If there are no questions, I think I'm supposed to give class tomorrow, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to speak on. What is the verse tomorrow? More. 1841. 19.
Chapter 9, Vishma.
Okay. It says 8, but I guess somebody made a mistake. Okay. 1941. Okay. Oh, yeah. You didn't do that in the morning? Or are you doing it again? So you want to do the whole Mangalacharna and everything?
Yeah, I mean...
Or a short version?
Yes, you can do short version.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the board and we'll just do the short version. So we'll do from here to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's.
Yeah, and we can gather here around it.
Thank you.
You can use this balance. You need the book, or you look in the. How do you?
Well, if you have a book, just senior mind now, it's not remembering everything, but I should be able to do it just without any book, just to be safe.
No need.
Okay, everybody should come around and take enough flowers to make 3 offerings.
Ja. Jamaica, pošli držal.
Yeah, so we'll go from Om Again to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's,
Yeah.
which is Vishnu Thakur, then Bhaktisiddhanta, then Gaur Kishore, and then Bhaktivinoda.
Yes.
Okay? So,
Which one is not this was? Can you also explain a little bit the meaning of Pushpanjali and how it's done?
Hare Krishna, so everybody come around, have your flowers handy. Glorification of great Vaishnavas is essential for going forward in spiritual life, starting with one's own guru and then Param Guru and the entire Vaishnava Sampradaya. We glorify everybody. And as we were saying earlier on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is definitely a standout even amongst such stellar spiritual masters, practitioners, teachers. So in the life of the Vaishnava saints, there are 2 things that we observe. Avirbhav, which means the appearance, and Tirobhav, the disappearance. So today is Avirbhav. We are celebrating the appearance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay, everybody ready? Om Sagyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatamritam Tang Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatharine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta
Siddhanta
Saraswati
Saraswati
Namine
Namine
Shiva Shabhanavi
Shiva Shabhanavi
Devi
Devi
Daitaya
Dayataya
Kripabdaye
Kripabdaye
Krishna Sambandha
Krishna Sambandha
Vijnana Dayane
Dayane
Prabhave Namaha
Prabhu Namaha
Madhyojvala
Madhujjvala
Premadhya
Premadhya
Shri Rupanuga
Shrupanuga
Bhaktida
Bhaktida
Shri Gora Karuna Shakti
Sakti
Vigrahaya
Vigrahaya
Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte
Murtaye
Dinatarine
Dinacharine
Rupanuga
Rupanuga
Virudapasidanta Dvanta
Vanta
Harine
Adne
Namo Gaura Kishoraya
Shiraya
Sakshadvairagya
Sakshat Vairagya
Murtaye Vipralamba
Vipralamba
Asambodhe
Sambodhe
Padambojaya
Parambojaya
Te Namaha.
Te Namaha.
Now we're going to do Bhaktivinoda Pranati 3 times, and after each time we'll offer flowers. Namo
Namo
Bhaktivinodaya
Bhaktivinodaya
Satchidananda
Satchidananda
Namane Gaura Shakti
Gaura Shakti
Sarupaya
Sarupaya
Rupanuga
Rupanuga
Varayate
Varayate
Esha Pushpanjali.
Esha Pushpanjali.
Namo
Namo
Bhaktivinodaya
Bhaktivinodaya
Satchidananda
Satchidananda
Namane Gaura Shakti
Gaura Shakti
Sarupaya
Sarupaya
Rupanuga
Rupanuga
Varayate
Varayate
Esha Pushpanjali.
Esha Pushpanjali.
Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gaura Shakti
Gaura Shakti
Sarupaya
Sarupaya
Rupanuga
Rupanuga
Varayate
Varayate
Esha Pushpanjali.
Esha Pushpanjali. Prasadam, Bhakti. Prasadam.
Yes.
Bhakti Rotaka Prasadam.
Jai.
Sanskrit. Milky Bill.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not a vegan.